Good morning, Bedrock. Excited to be with you this morning on the Weekday Devotional Thursday morning. Tell you something that maybe you're working through during this pandemic. Want to talk about it, but I realize when I talk about this, it's gonna alienate some of you, and that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna talk about parenting today. And we had this awesome time on Monday night where we had a Bedrock family, Bedrock parents Zoom call. And we're looking to do more of those throughout the summer where we get all the Bedrock families that want in, and we just get together as parents and talk about parenting and what parenting looks like. Now I know some of you aren't parents, some of you aren't even married, and you're like, "What? I don't want to listen to this." Don't turn it off. Yet, if it draws on and you're like, I can't deal with this anymore, you can turn it off, but don't turn it off yet. And listen, because I think there's some principles here. Maybe they could apply to any relationship, but we're going to talk about it in the context of parenting. God has given Tanya and I the great honor and duty and responsibility and blessing. The Bible talks about parenting in all of those terms. He's given us that with 4 kids. And this season of quarantine has compressed time and space with our kids. Right? That's the best way I know how to describe it. Like we have more time with them. It's been condensed in together. In fact, sometimes we don't even know what day of the week it is. I have to look at my watch to know what day of the week it is. We've condensed our time together, and we have our space, man. Like our kids are in school. So typically they leave our house and they disperse and then they come back home. And so there's this kind of space that happens in everyday ordinary life. But now that we're here at home and doing quarantine and homeschool and all that stuff, space is much more limited. And yeah, there is a temptation to say, go outside. But when you take time and you take space and you kind of compress it into a family of 6, or you compress it upon any relationship, but specifically as parents, little friction can come about. And so we've been navigating just what that looks like for us. And let's just be real with you. I try to be real with you as often as I can. We had an especially hard day on Monday with parenting. I won't even say the story because my kids will one day grow up and they will watch these videos probably. And now I don't want them to be broken pastors' kids where dad always talks about their failures, because my kids are awesome. They really are. But especially hard day on Monday. And I'm not even going to point the finger at my kids because the finger needs to be pointed here. Most often, I have found in my parenting, my being a dad to children, the issue is not so much the failures of my children, but the failures of me as a man, as a dad, as a father, as a parent in handling those issues. All right. So what I do in my flesh is I take the failures of my child and I compound them with the failures of myself as a dad. All right. And what we have is an absolute disaster. And we've all been there. If you're a parent or if you've been a part of any relationship, you've been there where somebody does something wrong that they knew was wrong. And instead of working it out through grace and forgiveness and trying to fix it, you get angry and you compound the problem, and it gets worse. Here's what happened. I'm a big Paul Tripp fan. If you over on my bookshelf over here, any of you want to borrow from the library, there's quite a few Paul Tripp books. But his big shtick is he loves to talk about parenting, and it's works that Tanya and I have read since our kids were babies, like little babies, and our oldest is about to be 16 this year. So this is his teaching has been influential in our life and about just how to parent. And so Monday I was like, Lord, I got to refocus. I got to refocus on you. I just need to hear from someone else. And so I watched this video by Paul Tripp, and there's some things there I want to talk about today, and hopefully it's helpful. But one of the things that he says is, and this is a great reminder, is that all men, all children, all people are depraved, right? We grow up and we are born into this world with the curse of sin, right? And I can make a ton of little jokes, but like no child comes into the world getting it right. Right. I mean, that's the number one complaint of new moms and dads is that we get is my kid, he does this, he does that, she does this, she does that. And I mean, the first word they learn is no. I mean, really, it is fascinating to me that the first word a child oftentimes learn and uses with like reckless abandon is no. And it doesn't take long. I mean, within the first year and a half, you're asking a child to do something as simple as, hey, go get that toy. And it's no. And you see this depravity. But the thing about it is that is a sign, and we all know it. It's just a reminder. When you see the brokenness and the sin in your children, it is a reminder. And I love the way Tripp puts it. He says it like this, that the most dangerous thing in your child's life, the most dangerous thing in your child's life is not external to them. It's not the world around them. Look, you need to hear this. The most dangerous thing in your child's life is not a disease right now. The most dangerous thing in your child's life is not the influence of peers. The most dangerous thing in your child's life is not social media. The most dangerous thing in your child's life is not failure at education or too much media consumption or not eating their vegetables. That's not the most dangerous thing. And we hold these up to be such a prominent thing. Like, this is the most dangerous thing, and I need to deal with this thing. It's not it. Don't miss the big thing. All right. The most dangerous thing in your child's life is they are a mortal danger to themselves. Right? It's inside of them, their sin curse. And so when we begin to understand that, and we begin to put on those lenses and say, okay, the most dangerous thing my kid is facing today is not something external to them. It's their heart is depraved. And they need grace and redemption from Jesus. All right. We don't change the heart of men. All right. And we don't change the heart of our kids. I mean, think about it like this. The goal of parenting oftentimes looks like this in normal households, and it can at times look like this in my household. Obey the rules. Like, if you would just follow the rules, everything that I've laid out, the rules get wider as they get older, and when they're younger, it's like, don't touch the light sockets. Well, I don't care if my 15-year-old touches light sockets. Now she's plugging in her iPhone, right? So the rules, whatever they are, obey them. But the problem is, Jesus did not come so that we would obey the rules, right? That was the whole issue. We can't obey the rules. You need to understand that your children, they're incapable. They're incapable of perfect obedience all the time because of their heart, and it's depraved. All right. Now that gets us somewhere. That gets us somewhere in understanding of what I need to actually deal with. What I need to deal with is the heart. But here's what we do. We do this. We take the God-given moments of mercy and we turn them into anger. All right, that's how Tripp puts it. We take God-given moments of mercy and we turn them into anger. All right, whenever we see, are we here or as a affront to our parenthood, our kid disobeys us, we typically, in our flesh, maybe I'm just talking about me, but typically we respond to anger, in anger. And what we want is we want them to obey. And so we get angry. If all this was about obeying, then there's no need for Jesus. If you could parent your kids so well that they always obeyed, I mean, think about it. There's no need for Jesus. Quite possibly, you could parent your kid so perfectly that they do obey and they do They do obey everything you say and they miss Jesus. Man, how dangerous is that a thought to think about, that your kid could miss Jesus because all you were worried about is obedience. Now, what happens is we take the times that they disobey and we either turn it into anger because we're frustrated. We turn it into anger because it's an inconvenience to us in that moment. It draws us out of something we were doing. That's been true in our home where I'm working from home, Tiny's working from home, and our kids, they do something. And instead of looking at it as a problem of the heart, what I do is I look at it as an inconvenience to my life. Right? And I grow frustrated at how inconvenienced I am. Let me say something to you that has really been rolling in my brain all week that I have reminded myself of. If you ever see, if you ever hear the sins or failures of your child, it is never an accident. It's never an interruption and it's never a hassle. It is always grace. If you ever see or you hear or you see the failures of your child, that is not an accident. All right. What God does is He's a merciful God, and He takes our sins and our failures and He brings them to light, not so that we obey the rules more, but so that we can come into contact with grace and have our hearts changed. But here's the deal, parents. You have been given the God-given role of facilitating heart change in your child. If you don't take anything away from this today, and I think I've frozen up, so now you're just looking at my weird face, but if you don't take anything away from this today, take this away. If you see your child mess up today, that is God's mercy on their life, that He has placed them in a home with a mom or dad who sees it, who knows life in Jesus, who knows a relationship with Him and can point that child to Jesus. In that moment, you are a representation of God's grace to your child. Now, I'm not talking about just willy-nilly letting go of sin, because God deals with sin. In fact, His Son died for our sin. But what I'm talking about is you represent Him in the way you talk, in the words you say, in the way you touch, in the way that you interact. They need to see Jesus in you, because Jesus Christ is the only one that's going to change their heart. My challenge for myself this week has been, every time I see my kids mess up, my first thought is not how angry I am or how much I'm going to lay into them. My first thought should not be how inconvenienced or interrupted I am. My first thought is, God, thank you. Thank you for showing me what is going on in my child's heart. I pray that you would give me the words to speak, not to their actions, but to their heart. You see, God loves your kid. He loves your kid so much that He put them in a home in which He has given them a parent that has the ability to do that. There's no magic parenting formula. It's simply taking your inadequacies and your sin to the Lord and saying, God, help me. Be present in my time of need. Help me to speak your words to my child in the way that they know grace and they know you today. I hope that's been helpful today. Hey, if you're not a parent, apply that to any relationship. Anytime God lets you see the sins or failures of another person, your husband, your wife, your coworker, that is an opportunity for God's grace, for you to represent Him and to show people the love of Jesus. Let's do that with our kids. Hey, we're gonna try to do this parenting thing throughout the summer. Maybe like a evening after 8, after bedtime, once every other week, kind of parenting discussion where we can all talk about these principles. If you're interested in that, man, you're like, man, I want to hop in on that. Get me in on that. Comment below, hit the comments, and just put I'm interested. We'd love to give you more information about what that looks like. Until then, go be the hands and feet of Jesus to your family today. Love you guys. Have a great day.